had a friend who practices feng shui and is a feng shui consultant in Las Vegas. And she's even worked with some of the hotels in Las Vegas to help them maybe set up their lobby and things like that.
The biggest companies in the world are using feng shui for themselves. Feng shui can be added to almost any kind of career. We need space for the qi to flow. First thing I always ask people to do is to take a look at their entrance. That's where opportunities come in. And if the door doesn't open completely, if the front entrance is cluttered, the qi and the prosperity cannot find the entrance into your life or into your business. When I'm confused and I'm overwhelmed in my head, I take 10 minutes and bring my desk into a different order, or just, clean something. The to-do list hasn't changed, but I am calmer and I have a different energy approaching my work.
So I will not pan my camera down to the pile of papers that's on the floor below my desk right now.
We don't really see what's in front of us every single day. It's crazy. I have developed this concept of future selfing with feng shui. What if our space is aligned with our future self energy, so that we don't have to visualize all the time this energy, but we enter our space and we tap into the future self. At the end, it's letting go of control.
I know some people in our Clever crew, including myself, needed to hear that one. Today on Not Nice Clever, we're talking about all the magic that happens when your space works with you and not against you. We're talking to Daniela Shaponich, founder of Unfolding Space and the School of Spiritual Design, who spent over 20 years helping changemakers turn their homes and workspaces into powerful magnets for clarity, confidence, and next level success. So we are so excited to have you on with us, Daniela. I came across one of your Instagram reels and I, of course, did a deep dive on your feed, and I was like, we have to have this woman on. She's amazing. And I know the Clever crew is really in for a treat with you today. For someone who's new to feng shui, how would you explain it beyond just like where to put your couch?
Okay, so thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be with you today. So feng shui is basically, I love to explain it like, if you know what acupuncture is on your body, so it releases stuck energy, and this is what feng shui does for your space. So we are taking care of the energy, the qi, the life force energy in your space, so that it's balanced, that the flow is calm, and it nourishes your space. And at the same time, then it nourishes yourself.
I love that. Is there a difference between traditional feng shui and the feng shui that you teach?
So the feng shui I'm teaching is based in the traditional feng shui. I work with this knowledge, but what I did is I kind of translated it into so that it fits into our way of life, our modern way of life. So, and how I love to practice feng shui is that it weaves into your style, into your life. So you don't have to have things in your space which you are not aligning with only because it's feng shui. So feng shui works really beautifully without us putting anything into our space we don't like.
I love that. When you work with entrepreneurs, which I know you do, what are some of the common maybe mistakes or like the first thing that you want to change when you are working with an entrepreneur?
Okay, so usually I start with clarity. So as an entrepreneur, you become very busy with building your business and attending to your clients and your projects. So you completely forget about your space. You're like, oh, I'm happy I survived the day. Well, okay, the pile is here and this pile, but it can wait. It's not urgent. The pile of paper, well, it's not disturbing me as long as my computer is nice and, I can work with, it's okay. So and I would really, really love to tell everyone it does matter. It does matter. So honestly, when I'm facing an obstacle in my business, the first thing I do, I turn to my space. I turn to my space and I'm like, what's off here? What's not working at the moment? So where did the energy get stuck? What happened? So that I'm facing this obstacle. So of course you need to deal with everyday life, but your space is just so supporting you, but at the same time, it can hold you back.
So I will not pan my camera down to the pile of papers that's on the floor below my desk right now because I was too overwhelmed to deal with it. So I won't share that. Kat is unfortunately not able to be with us today, but she would love this conversation. I'm sure she has some piles around her house that she'd like to also, clear, but just sometimes there's so many things that feel like they are taking over our time and space and our energy. And so we leave all of those little things to the back burner. But what is the problem when we leave those things? Like that I have this pile of papers right here on the floor.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
does that cause?
Okay, so if you imagine that you're connected with everything you own with a thread, the more you own, the more threads you have. And your flexibility is not the same like when you're free. And that's all. I'm never saying that you cannot be successful if you, have your piles of paper or clutter or something. You can, but the amount of energy you need to push through is it's a much higher level than when your space is free. And then the other thing is when I'm confused and I'm overwhelmed in my head, then the to-do list is as it is, right? And we are always running behind our to-dos. Somehow it never ends,
Yes.
right? So but what I experience is even when I take 10 minutes and bring my desk into a different order, or just clean something and structure something, the to-do list hasn't changed, but I am calmer. I changed my perspective and I have a different energy approaching my work. So it's
Yes.
the
I
little
love that.
things, it's just the little things.
So, how can someone tell if the problem that they're encountering is an energetic problem
hmm
or if it's a
Usually,
problem that's with their systems in their business?
So usually when the thought comes up like, I'm doing everything I need to do, and still I'm not landing the project, or my numbers are not increasing, and you're kind of running out of logical reasons why the things we're doing are not working, then you should definitely turn to a space.
That's so interesting. Um, if I were to hire you, what does working with you look like? Like, what are the steps? What does that look like?
Mhm, mhm. So usually, I mean, there are different, like I would say packages, the
Yes.
intensity. But
Yes.
in fact, the first thing is the conversation. The first question I ask my clients is why I'm here. Why did you call me? Why did you book me? So what is going on? And then they share with me, what the reasons are. And then we walk through, be it online or in real person, through their
Mhm.
space. And I ask them to introduce me to their space. I want them to talk about their space to me. And then I look at the space and I hear what they're saying. And then I feel where the energy is off. So this is for me the first step to get the feeling for the space. And then I take a look at the floor plan. I don't even need to know how the space is designed, but when I look at the floor plan, it speaks to me. I really know why the chi is not flowing, why opportunities are not flowing, why the chi is stuck, and why maybe they cannot hold on their to their wealth. So, and when I analyze this, then of course we meet again, and then we talk about the remedies or what they can do to balance the flow and to implement the feng shui. So this is really shortly said, of course there's a process
A
behind it.
condensed
And
version of what it looks
yes,
like.
thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
So if I were to walk you into my office right now, I would be like, it's a mess, but I can, I could still host a podcast. I could still Zoom with my clients, but I'm 12 weeks postpartum and there's papers everywhere and there's baby stuff where it shouldn't be. And
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm feeling overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
When you hear me say
Okay.
those things, what
Mm,
comes to your
yeah.
mind?
So the first thing I always tell my client, be kind to yourself. I mean, you have a
Mm.
baby, you're running a business, you're keeping out with your podcast. So let's acknowledge this. Let's change the energy around how you feel about your space. Don't feel
Mm.
bad because of the clutter, because you're running behind. Just be kind to yourself because in Feng Shui, we want to bring in flow. And if we add pressure into our lives, pressure in our system is like clutter in our space. So maybe we need more time to let go of the clutter and to manage the papers. But what we can do immediately is release the pressure in our body by being kind to ourselves and just saying, hey, I'm doing the best I can. And even today, if you have like a challenge, you go like every day I'm going to, I don't know, declutter 5 things from my office. Just 5 things.
Mm.
It's baby steps, but step
Yes.
by step, it will get you somewhere.
I love a challenge. I often work better when I have a challenge because I love to be able to check something off. Okay, like I did 5 things today and 5 things
Hmm.
tomorrow, and that like makes me feel really good. And I love to bring a friend in with me on a
Hmm.
challenge. So I'll be like, okay, Kat, do this with me. So if we're both doing it together, we hold each other accountable,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that works really well.
Hmm. Yeah, that's amazing.
I love that. So, when you are working with entrepreneurs, um, can you share a story, a success story of someone who you've helped to clear their energy?
Yeah. So I started to work with. She is now my marketing manager, but we started working on Feng Shui too, and she was stuck before, after a divorce, living with her mom, with her 2 children in one bedroom. She just moved in with her mom. So, and she was, restructuring her life, and we started to work. And I told her some really, so she couldn't change a lot. She just had one bedroom, right? So there was not
Mm-hmm.
many things to change. So, but what we did, we organized her desk differently. So she had a different position. She had a strong backing, like you see myself. It's a wall behind me, and I'm looking into the space. So what I see is what I get, right? So this is just
Mm.
for all the listeners. What you see is what you get. So we can touch on this after the story, right? But
Yeah.
it's so important because what you see anchors in your subconscious mind, and and this is how you function. This is what you attract. And we can use our space like a vision board. So this is what we did. And she can tell the story in more detail, but I believe that she said she doubled her income within 60 days after we did the changes. And now she moved last month, she moved into her new house with her kids. So it's
Amazing.
huge. Her life changed completely. Yes.
And I know a lot of people have their desks facing a wall in their
Mhm,
office instead of with the wall behind them. Tell me,
mhm.
what does that do?
So when you're facing a wall, again, what you see is what you get. You're just looking at a wall. In German, we have an expression like you're running against the wall. Like when you don't see the opportunities, just like you're running against the wall, right? So this is
Mm-hmm.
what this wall does, and it doesn't get better if you're facing a wall and having a door behind you. Because then your subconscious mind is like, somebody could attack me from behind. I mean, logically, consciously we know nobody will attack me, but our subconscious mind works a bit differently. So it's like a part of your awareness is connected to this fear somebody could attack me from behind. So your focus is not solely on the things you're doing, so the stress level rises much faster. If you
Mm-hmm.
have the possibility to turn around your desk, you will experience much more calmness and clarity when you're working. So, but what if not? I mean, I'm always a friend like feng shui doesn't work. That's good and that's bad. Feng shui that always has solutions. And this is what I love. They might not be the best solution, but it is a solution. So, I tell my clients, we probably won't be able to do 100% feng shui. But if you have 0% feng shui and we raise it to 50% feng shui, it's a lot, right? It's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
here's how you want me to tell how you can
Yeah,
change that?
please. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the wall you're facing is connected to your future. So if you have the possibility to hang your vision board there, or just a picture, a painting, even a postcard, which is opening up your field, that's the first solution for the wall. And with the back, you get a chair which covers your head, which runs higher.
Oh, okay.
So it's like, your chair, it becomes your backing, your wall, and protects you.
I love that. Those are really simple things that people can do today.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
And you also mentioned facing the door of the room if possible.
If possible, yes.
So, what role does intuition play in your work?
A huge role.
Yeah.
The reason is that Feng Shui speaks to me. Not the Feng Shui speaks to me. The energy speaks to me. So, although we learn Feng Shui with our heads because it's a lot of knowledge to learn, but we work with our heart and the intuition. So that's I always tell my students, we start here and then we descend to the heart and to your intuition, because there is not a possibility to work with Feng Shui in a linear. So to check off, check boxes. So you take a look, as I've described. I go into a space and I feel the space. I look at the floor plan, and it's like speaking to me. It just, you get all the information. Sometimes I get even more information than from my clients. So
Yeah, interesting.
So it's really training the intuition. That's why I feel Feng Shui is not an esoteric teaching, but it's highly spiritual.
How do you encourage, or how do you teach people how to tap into their own intuition or their own energy?
I believe, so if I take a look at when I teach Feng Shui, I believe that also as an entrepreneur, that we need also enough information for the left brain side, right? For the masculine side, we do need information so that our mind can relax. And then we take what we know and bring it into the intuition. So how I teach them to do that is, tell me the first thing the first thing which comes up when you see the floor plan. Tell me the first thing which comes up when you see this picture. Tell me the first thing. And then, I don't know if you remember when you were writing tests in school. I don't know, when I wrote, everything what I wrote first was perfect. And if I had time to go through it again, all the things I changed were wrong. And this is with Feng Shui the same. So, and then when we train this together and I tell them, yes, you're right. Yes, that's true. They're like, oh, so I can trust this voice. That's good. So it's like a muscle we are training then.
We talked a little bit about how people can change the energy flow in their office. Can you give some other of your most common tips when it comes to changing the energy flow in someone's home?
Of course, clutter clearing. I mean, that's the basic.
Number one. Yes.
That's number one, right? We need space for the chi to flow. Otherwise, it's stuck and it can flow. So the first thing I always ask people to do is to take a look at their entrance, because that's the mouth. That's where not only the chi, but the opportunities come in, where the abundance comes in. It's like when we are breathing. So, and if the door doesn't open completely, if the front entrance is cluttered, or sometimes not, sometimes, especially in businesses, when I see something and I don't see the door because the door is hidden somewhere, it means that the chi and the prosperity cannot find the entrance into your life or into your business. So make the door visible, decorate it, painted, and so on. So the entrance area is really the most important piece, because if you cannot breathe, well, yeah.
We know what happens.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. So definitely work on the entrance. That is key to making sure that energy is flowing. I love it.
Yeah.
And then going back to using your space as a vision board, what are some other ways we can use our space as a vision board if we have a specific goal? Like if I have a specific goal of better communication with my clients, how can I use my space as a vision board to encourage that?
It depends. So, for example, if you have your own office and you have a meeting space, so communication is connected for example, with the meeting space. In the personal houses, I always say the dining space is connected, the dining in the living room is connected to the communication. So
Mm.
I just, feel into where is this part anchored in your space, be it business or private, or personal, because there is the Bagua concept. I don't know if you ever heard about it. It's the nine
No.
life areas. I'm not going into this because I just feel that if we take a look at our space, then, for example, your office is like your ruling space. It's where you rule your kingdom from. It's where everything goes out. So the meeting space would be this place of communication. So, and then you can go through the different areas and see, okay, where is this energy anchored? And then you go into the meeting space, if you stay with this example, and see, is it cluttered? Does it need fresh flowers?
Is
Do
it
we need fresh
welcoming?
air in here? Is it welcoming? You just go through, you look at your space more consciously.
I love that. So I know that from your Instagram, I saw you created the School of Spiritual Design. What
Mhm.
inspired you to create that?
Yeah, so I really believe that feng shui should be just as normal as going to, I don't know, the chiropractor, or something there, or when you invite the painting, is it a painter,
A
to paint
painter.
your walls?
Yes.
Yeah, the
Yes.
painter or the architect when you build your house. So I believe that feng shui should be just as normal. And then when we take a look at Ayurveda or traditional Chinese medicine, they are very, very old, and like over 5,000 years. And their pillars were body, mind, soul, and space. So what we
Mm,
have welcomed in our lives by now is body, mind, and soul, meditation, um, yoga, and mindfulness, and so on. But the space is missing. We are missing
interesting.
out on the fourth pillar. And this is why I believe that everybody should know. You don't need to study feng shui, but you can, call in practitioner. You can teach yourself some things, but just start using it. That's the reason why I called it School of Spiritual Design, because we are designing our lives using spirituality and using our space.
And who would be a good fit to attend or to be part of the School of Spiritual Design?
So the great thing is that feng shui can be added to almost any kind of career. So, for example, I mean, architects, it's very obvious when you plan a house,
Yes.
if you do it through the feng shui lens, you're building abundant homes. It can be coaches working with clients on their, is it health, or let's stay with the business piece. And if your client is, let's stay with the really, really simple examples. If the space of your client is cluttered, and what you see is what you get, your client is not connected to its future, the entrance is not cleaned, and so on and so on, your work, could expand much more for your client if if the space is aligned too. Then any kind of healing businesses, you're working on the body, but the space is an extension of our bodies. So if you work on the space as well, again, your client will experience more success, in the work you're doing with him or her. So I mean, I even have clients, they are lawyers, and you
Mhm.
don't have to become a feng shui consultant only when you study feng shui. You're adding it to your business. So they are in big corporations, and every time when a new office is opened up, or if there is a change, she is being called to look at the office and do the arrangements which need to be done so that the new employee feels good
In the
in the new
space.
in the space. So I mean, it's endless.
It's endless. The
So many
possibilities are
opportunities.
endless. I
Oh
love
my
it.
God, yeah,
I
yeah.
had a friend who practices feng shui and is a feng shui consultant in Las Vegas, and she's even worked with some of the hotels in Las Vegas to help them
Mhm.
maybe set up their
Yeah,
lobby and things like that, for more success and abundance.
yes, yes. There, if you Google who uses feng shui. The biggest companies in the world are using feng shui for themselves, but they're not talking
Amazing.
about it. Yeah.
And it's just something that anyone can tap into. Like you said previously, you don't have to do it 100% to fidelity. You
Mm-mm.
can start anywhere, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what are you talked about how clutter is kind of a manifestation of maybe our own energy, maybe our own energy blocks that we have. Clutter is like how that manifests. What are some other things that we see visually that are maybe manifesting what's also on the inside besides clutter?
So it's almost everything: pictures, paintings, decorations, our clothes. It's almost everything which is connected to us. So I have developed this concept of future selfing with feng shui. So we know the future selfing for the meditations and this whole process, the modality for ourselves or for personal use. But then I thought, if we are calling in the energy of our future self into our system, into our energy field, what would happen if we call in the energy of our future self into our space? What if our space is aligned with our future self energy so that we don't have to visualize all the time this energy, but we enter our space and we tap into the future self?
Back to that vision board, like your space is your vision board, like you said previously.
Yes.
I love that. I did have a feng shui consultant come into my home previously, many years ago, when I first started my business. And I mainly work with female entrepreneurs. And one of the photos, or not a photo, was like a painting in my house, was of a woman, but it was her back. And she was like kind of looking over her shoulder. You couldn't see her face, you
Mhm.
just saw her back. And immediately she's like, this does not make sense for you because you primarily work and communicate with women. And this woman
Mhm.
has her back to you every single day. And took that down and definitely felt a different energy. And I thought that was so interesting that I never would have thought that it meant anything. I just thought it was pretty. And
Mhm. Mhm.
she said that it was
Yeah.
actually probably blocking some energy.
Yes, yes, I love that. And I mean, I have so many stories like this. You would, you just like, but you
I
don't
would
see
love to
it,
hear a couple.
you
I
know?
think our clever crew would like to hear a couple. What are some other um ones that come to mind?
Okay, so there was a lady, it's years ago, and she called me. She's like, I feel like in a rat race. I work, 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 and like, you know, but the money is not really materializing. It's not in
Hmm.
balance. So I went to her office, and the picture she had hanging on the wall where she was looking at when she was working was really in a hamster wheel. It was a
A
clock painted,
literal,
and
okay.
and a hamster wheel was like the numbers on the clock
Wow.
were the wheel, and there was a hamster like running. And she's like,
Wow.
I never, I didn't. Oh no, she was speechless. So we don't really see what's in front of us every single day. It's crazy.
It is so crazy. And as we're talking about this, I'm looking across at my own wall in my office, and I haven't been in my office really except for maybe an hour or two every week since my baby was born. But I'm looking at the calendar of 2024 is up in my office. That's what I'm
Right?
looking at instead of this year, 2025. And I don't even know
Right.
if a
This
calendar is the right thing.
calendar is kind of reminding us of the to-dos.
Hmm.
Uh, so I so it's activating the left side, the left brain. But I would rather activate the right side brain where the vision, the emotion, because we know we manifest it through emotion and not through logic. So I would think
Yes,
about it.
that's a great tip. So a lot of our clients and the clever crew who are listening, they feel like they are the ones that wear all the hats. They are maybe solopreneurs, they're doing it all on their own. Um,
Mhm.
when they're feeling like they can barely keep it together, what's something easy that they can do that's not time consuming to help them feel less chaos in their life?
Mhm. Mhm. So here's what I do. So I'm wearing also many hats. I have 4 children. We have 2 businesses. I'm living in Germany, Munich, and in Belgrade, in Serbia. So we are all around. So when I feel chaos, I grab, how do you say it in English? Where you put the laundry in this basket, and
Yeah,
I
laundry
would just
basket.
go through, yeah, laundry basket, and I would just go through my house and throw everything in. I don't care. I'm not thinking about where it needs to go, but if it's not on the right place, I'm just putting it in this basket, and I'm taking the basket, I don't know, somewhere for later. Later I can deal with it. But in 10 minutes, I create clarity in my space.
I love that tip. That's so easy for anyone to implement right now. When we think about things that maybe we're introducing into our space, I think I've heard things like about plants and flowers bringing positive energy in. What are some things we can introduce into our space to help the flow?
So I'm a big believer of color and paintings
Mm,
and wall decoration and even cushions for the couch. So it's not, as I said in the beginning, it's not necessarily a specific feng shui remedy. It's really, if you take a look at your space and you're like, what's lightening me up? And just be mindful, what do you bring into your space? What is the story the picture or the painting is telling? How are you connected to the plant? So be more mindful. What I find, and especially when you are moving, I know everybody wants it to be perfect when you move in, and I always say, give yourself and your home a year so that
oh,
you
wow.
connect to your space. So of course it can be pretty much done, but not every picture needs to hang. Not every cushion, needs to be chosen. So and let it evolve. So feel the space, feel what you need, and what you needed in the last house is maybe not the same what you need in the new house. So see how everything gets structured, how you start living in the space, and then I always say, ask the universe for the right picture, for the whatever you wish,
Mm.
and keep your eyes open. So it's also trusting, and it's at the end, it's letting go of control.
I know some people in
Uh,
our clever crew, including myself, needed to hear that one. If we're thinking about how we can bring in that energy, are
mhm.
there any specific colors or does that depend on the person that you can bring into your space?
Yes. So the colors are chosen through a calculation.
Mm,
So it's not so basically I couldn't say the south needs to be red or the southeast
mhm.
needs to be green. So it's a calculation, and it depends on the person's birth date and also the cardinal direction.
Oh, so
So
interesting.
but what I can share here is that we have yin and yang colors. So yang colors is like the bright red or a bright blue, for example. Um, Yang colors are earthy colors, or for example, this green behind me, if you're looking at the video, it's very yang, it's very calm. But now it's spring. If you look outside, it's this screaming green, right? That's a very
Mm.
so yin is passive and yang is a very active color. So bedroom, I would always recommend calmer yin colors. Workspace, living room, it can be brighter. So this is
Mm.
something everybody can work with.
And lastly, can you talk to us about what a space healing session specifically would look like?
Oh, I love this question. Thank you for asking. So while we can precisely talk about feng shui, what happens there, space healing is kind of difficult to explain, because when you look at me when I do a space healing session, I'm going through your space. I I release energy. I work with my hands. I work with my tools, and you don't see anything, but it's energy shifting. It's really releasing past energies from the space. So it's a blessing, and it's an activation which is very, very spiritual and very connected to ancient wisdom.
That's really helpful, I'm sure, to our clever crew, all of the tips that you've given today. on how they can design a space that has the right energy for them to continuously grow and kind of feel lighter. I think that's part of it as well, right? Not feeling so
Mhm.
heavy or tied down.
Yes, yes, yes. It's for me, I mean, what I really want to bring to everyone is feng shui is light. It's not following rules. It's not here to make you feel bad. It's not here to tell you that you're living in the wrong space. Feng shui is opening endless opportunities for everyone so that we can work with the space and make it, to optimize it as much as we can so that you can become successful and abundant in the place you are living or working.
Amazing. We are going to go into our last segment, which we call Not Nice Advice. It's one of our favorite segments. And this is where someone in our clever crew asks a question, and then you get to give your advice. So, this person says, I got into real estate because I love helping people and I'm good at it. But when it comes to things like negotiating commission, what to post on social media, or walking away from a client who's draining me, I freeze. I second guess everything and I end up asking 10 different people for advice, and I still feel like I have no clue what the right move is. How can I be more confident with making decisions that feel scary? From the queen of overthinking.
I love this question. Okay, so from me as a somebody who's in business as an entrepreneur, um, I stay true to my boundaries. I love my clients. I love everyone whom I'm working with. But out of this love, I set boundaries. So I want to answer with an example. Years ago, I had a client sitting across. We were in a one-on-one container, and the prices were clear. And she started to negotiate, and then she started to calculate my hourly rate. And she was a real
Mhm.
estate agent, and I was looking at her, and I really love her. We are still working together. And like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm calculating your hourly rate. And I said, listen, I really really appreciate you, but if you continue, we are in this moment terminating our cooperation, our work together. And she looked at me. She's like, oh, I'm sorry, I just wanted. It's like we cannot work like this. We need to trust each other. I'm also not calculating what you are making. When I was being very calm and saying these things, my fight or flight response and freeze response was just in myself. It was just reeling. It was everywhere. But I did breathe, and I kept grounded. And then I knew that there is nothing I can lose, which is not mine in, the energy field, which is not meant for me. And
Right.
I told, look, as I said, I love her. And I'm today, even if somebody says, oh, I'm sorry, I cannot work with you, I'm like, that's okay. We were not meant to work together. And then at the other side, people come, they are not asking for prices. And it's just like, I love you. I love what you do. And I want you. I'm like, we need to work remotely because I don't care. And then I said, this is my price. And like, I don't care. I want you. So, and this is also going into trust and out of fear because there is nothing to lose.
There's nothing to lose. And if I were answering this question, I would say I would remind myself why I am the one for this position. So I would tell myself maybe 3 to 5 different things that make me worthy, that I already know. Well, I've been doing this for 10 years. I am going to
Mhm.
be the best negotiator for them. And just name off the things that you already know are true. And you have examples of clients you've worked with in the past who you've done those things for, right? And so if you remind yourself that you are the perfect person for
Yes.
this position, then you can stand up for yourself confidently and your confidence will build in that moment. And I absolutely agree with you, Daniela, that not everyone is for you and you can't miss someone who wasn't meant for you. Like, or the person who
Yeah.
was meant for you is always going to work with you.
Yes. And you say not nice. And sometimes I'm just like, I'm so sorry, but you're really missing out. So,
Ooh, that's the not nice part. I like it. Yes.
yes.
Um, Yeah, and I've done that too where I'm just say, "You know what? I don't think this is a good fit. And
Yeah.
I will be the one to say that this isn't right. And 6 months later, maybe I get an email, maybe I get a DM that's like, hey, I know we talked about this before and it wasn't the right timing, or maybe we weren't a good fit, but XYZ has happened and I think we should revisit this. And so even in those times when I may have kind of shut it down, there still has been opportunity that has come from that.
Yeah. It's going always back to boundaries, to
Right?
staying true to yourself.
And people actually want to work with someone who has boundaries. It's a good model for them. So don't be afraid to have your boundaries, and also understand what things in your past have made you perfectly qualified for this position so you can have that confidence in that conversation. Well, thank you so much, Daniela, for your time today. We really appreciate it. I know our clever crew is going to start some rearranging. I'm going to start with a pile of papers under my desk. I think that's a good place for me. And we will drop all of your information in the show notes for our audience so they can connect with you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining us on Not Nice, Clever.
Remember to follow Not Nice, Clever wherever you listen to audio.
And if you haven't already, drop that 5-star review.
Share your takeaways. Tell us your story. We love to hear it.
Signing off, your not so nice, but oh so clever besties that mean business.
See you soon.